Yeah, the island. Where do you even begin with something like that? I mean, I was on a plane, and everything was fine. I had a nice lunch, and was striking up conversation with people on the plane. It was nice. I was going on vacation. And then I just looked out the window, and I don't even know. Next thing I remember, I just kind of woke up, and I had no idea where I was. I tried to look around. I was really confused. The first thing I could do is I found a person who was there with me, and I decided we two of us would team up. I mean, what else can you do? I knew that we needed to find wreckage or something. You had to have supplies. You gotta be resourceful like that. So I spent the first day just kind of looking around, seeing what I could find. I mean, I found some good supplies. I found a part of the plane wing, and I just knew I have to do something with this. So that's what I did. I found as much as I could, and I set it all up. I found stuff to collect water with, so I knew I had to set that up at some point. And then food. My partner went out and we searched for food, and all we could find were berries, you know. It wasn't the best food to eat if you're gonna be stuck on an island, but you know, we could always find more. It was just the first day. I had this plan that I was gonna go out there and somehow find metal and be able to use it all to give myself armor and weapons, and I'd be able to go out and hunt all kinds of food like pigs. But it didn't really work out like that. And you gotta be versatile, you know? You have to be able to take your plan and change it if you want to survive. I mean, it's simple as that. You can't, if something goes wrong, the only thing you can do is just change your plan and move on. You gotta keep going forward. That's how you survive. If you stick to something that doesn't work, you're not gonna make it. It's simple as that. The first few days, I was really unprepared for what happened. I mean, I got sick from eating berries. I had to rest a lot more than I planned on doing. It really set behind my plans, you know. We didn't have as much food as we would have liked. Our water collection didn't work out so well because all we had was seawater, so we had to be able to boil it, but we couldn't really get a fire going. So the first few days weren't good, but we had our plan. And we were gonna either stick to our plan until it didn't work and then change it, or we were gonna be screwed. We had to persevere. That was the number one thing. You gotta persevere. You gotta have the will to go on, and you have to have a good use of your resources. We spent the third day doing everything we possibly could to, you know, set up that plan and keep going. We set up the water collection, because if you don't have water, it's just like if you don't have food. You need water to keep going. You need food to keep going. You gotta keep your energy up. You gotta stay hydrated. If you're on an island, I mean, water is even harder to come across. So you gotta do whatever you can. So we decided we'd set up a water collection system, and then we'd have water to go as we needed. Except the part where, well, I was sick and injured, which really dampened our plan. You just gotta be able to adapt. We got sick. A giant bird came out of nowhere. I still don't even know if that was real or not, but we just got picked up one day. And this giant bird was just carrying us around, you know. It dropped us off with another group of people, and first thing I was thinking was, alright, more people, we can do more in a day, we have more chance to survive. You know, it was all really well. There was a giant pancake breakfast, and you had to eat as much as you could. You had to keep your energy up. You don't know where your next meal is going to come from. We were with a different group of people. So we decided that, you know, switch our plan so we'd be able to work with this other group and survive. Except, you know, that didn't work out. They decided to take us as prisoners, which, you know, part of being resourceful is you gotta know when to fight and when not to. So I decided I was sick, and if they wanted to take me prisoner, I was gonna use it to my advantage. So they decided they were gonna carry us and make us prisoners, so I rested for pretty much an entire day. They wanted to stick me in a cave. Well, I was sick and I wanted to get better. Luckily for me, that worked out to my advantage, you know? While I was a prisoner, you know, I was taking advantage of all the kind of resources I could. There was, when we first got on the island, I could tell there was something special about it. Like there was some power that was watching over us, you know, something just supernatural. And so I tried to figure out what these powers that be, you could call them, wanted. And, you know, I just meditated and did all kinds of stuff to, you know, try to appease them. And it worked. They showed me a way to get out of my prison cell in the cave. So without anyone even knowing, I just, you know, took my way out and I went exploring. Because I didn't know if I was going to be prisoner forever or not. Well, I went out and I explored, and the person who took us both prisoner actually left the group himself, and I saw him setting up camp. And I thought, you know, he took me prisoner, but he looks like he's setting up something good over there, so maybe I can, you know, try to work with him later. You have to keep all your options open. That's a huge part of being resourceful. You gotta work with other people, you gotta use your resources. A resource doesn't have to just be something physical, you know, it can be a person, it can be a situation. Like a fire in the cave, and I knew a way out. I just explored, and I found where he was, so I knew where he'd be. I didn't know if there was anyone else on the island. There could have been, there could not have been. But I just, you know, I knew what I had to do. Came back to the group, and they didn't really know I did anything, and I helped them out. I still acted sick, even though I wasn't. I feel like that was another big thing the powers that be did for me. In addition, I mean, I found a cup one day, and it was just, you know, this really weird empty cup, and it was in the middle of nowhere. But I picked it up, and it just filled with water, so I took advantage of that. You know, I had fresh water, I wasn't sick, I was still acting sick, so I could use that to my advantage to rest and get intel to alter my plan, you know? You gotta have a plan, you gotta adapt, so, you know, take advantage of everything you can. Time is a resource. So the next day, I decided that I'd try to keep my options open, and I'd go see what this other guy who had originally taken me prisoner was up to. Well, I knew where he was, and I walked over to where I knew that he was building his own camp. And I fell in a trench. And I actually broke my leg. However, when he caught up to me, I knew that if I could persuade him that I could help him enough for us to both come up with our own plan, that I could potentially get off the island. So he helped me splint my leg. He gave me sticks and, you know, some twine-ish material so I could do that. And I offered to dig a trench for him, and so I did. I dug him a trench just like the one I fell in, you know, in the opposite direction, so he would have a more surrounded camp that was safer and more secure. And he just let me eat his crab. He gave me some crab. He gave me some bananas. It was food. It was actually really good food for being stuck on an island. It was better than berries and insects, so, I mean, I was happy with it. So, I left the guy who I was with, and I told him that that wasn't the premise. I'd go back to the other group, and I'd help them for a few days, and I'd see if they had any materials that we needed, and we were going to set up our own way to get off the island, me and him. But I was keeping both options open. You know, I could go to him, I could stay with the other group. That's that part of being adaptable, you know? If the other group wasn't doing so, I'd go back to him, and if he wasn't doing so, I'd go back. And, you know, I was keeping all my options open. I was floating between groups. I was personable enough to, you know, have the other group help my leg, even though I left. I feel like, you know, it all worked out really well. So I left him, came back to the other group. So we spent the last day, but I feel like what helped me be successful was the fact that I was always adaptable. I always had a different plan. I started with one person. I eventually was in a group of 5 people, 6 people. So I kept all kinds of options open for people I could work with. I had this plan to, you know, become armored and hunt pig and eat pig all the time. Well, you know, that didn't work. So I adapted. I got sick, and I even used it to my advantage. You know, I told the other group, hey, I can't do any work today, so just let me rest. And instead of resting, they all did work, and it gave me a chance to get out unnoticed and gather more intel that you need. People are a resource. Materials are a resource. Time is a resource. A plan is a resource. You gotta have all kinds of resources available. You gotta use them to stay alive in the wild. I feel like that's what I did. You know, I had multiple plans. I had all kinds of different ways I could go. Really, I don't think I could have done it better. I had all kinds of options open. I got captured, and I worked my way out of it with another person to work with on an island. I was always changing my plan. If something didn't work, you know, I did something different. I had a whole setup before we got picked up by a giant bird, we could have been fine. We had some berries. We could have been fine, just the two of us. And then we got taken to another group, and we were even better because then they had bananas and berries, and we were able to eat cockroaches, even though we were prisoners. But I was able to work my way out of being a prisoner. Then we became a part of the group, and then I left that group because I had to keep options open in case that group wasn't working too well. And those powers of be, I got a cup that could always give me water. I was never dehydrated. I was able to get out of a cave when I was a prisoner because of them. I had a healed leg because of them. I tried different things. I worked with a group, but I wasn't an upfront leader of a group. I was that guy in the background. Either way, I'm just glad the island's over. Glad I got rescued.